How many times have you wondered why luck and money seem to remain very distant from your life? And how many times have you felt bad about all the sacrifices you had to make? In this video, you will discover a simple yet very powerful ritual. You will discover that if you wash your hands with salt, you will attract luck and abundance. And if what we just told you seems absurd to you, stay until the end of the video, because only then will you discover exactly what makes this ritual so powerful. But before continuing, if you are not one of us yet, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to stay updated. The cold December wind, laden with impending snow, lashed forcefully against the ancient walls of the Kiyomizu-dera temple in Kyoto, enveloping it in an aura of mystical solemnity. His howl intertwined with the distant, rhythmic sound of bronze bells ringing in the valley below, creating a sacred melody that permeated the frigid air. A small group of pilgrims, their faces marked by the difficulties and experiences of life, had gathered in the silence of the small Zen garden, an oasis of peace enclosed among the ancient buildings. The morning frost, like diamond dust, glittered on the moss covering the stones and on the pebbles of the path, while they, wrapped in heavy cloaks of coarse wool to protect themselves from the biting cold, awaited with trepidation and respect the words of the venerable monk Cato. Their gazes, full of hope and uncertainty, sought comfort, answers to their deepest questions, guidance, a way to attract that fortune and abundance that seemed to constantly elude them like mirages in the desert. Among them, wrapped in her dark cloak, was Hana, a young woman with sad, melancholy eyes, clutching in her trembling hands a faded, worn photo of her late husband, whose memory still burned in her heart like an open wound. Beside her, Taro, an elderly man bent under the weight of his years and the economic worries that weighed on his family, with rough hands marked by hard work in the fields, clutched a small empty bag, a symbol of his precariousness. And not far away, Kenji, a young entrepreneur with a vacant stare, was tormented by the recent failure of his business, which had taken away not only his savings, but also his faith in the future. Each of them carried an invisible burden of suffering, a deep thirst for change, a search for a light at the end of the tunnel. Finally, with a slow creak of wooden hinges, the doors of the small hermitage opened in Kaido, an elderly man with a slim but erect figure, a long beard as white as freshly fallen snow and deep, wise eyes that seemed to contain the wisdom accumulated over centuries of contemplation, emerged with a slow but surprisingly confident step. Her saffron-colored kimono, simple yet dignified, swayed slightly in time with her stride, creating an image of calm majesty. She sat gracefully on a meditation cushion placed beneath a majestic ancient pine tree, whose twisted, snow-laden branches seemed to reach out toward the gray sky, offering shelter and protection. A reverential silence, thick with expectation, suddenly fell over the garden, broken only by the delicate rustling of dry leaves in the wind and the distant song of a solitary winter bird. "Welcome, pilgrims," Kaido said in a calm, even voice, a deep, resonant voice that seemed to vibrate with the very energy of the place, filling the garden with a serene authority. "You have come here in search of fortune and abundance." Many, in their search, mistakenly believe that these are external gifts, bestowed by a whim of fate or the benevolence of higher entities. But the truth, which often escapes the superficial gaze, is that true luck and true abundance reside deep within our being, like a dormant seed that patiently waits to be nourished by our awareness, our intention, and our actions. Taro, the old farmer, his voice trembling with cold and emotion, broke the silence full of meaning. "Master," he asked humbly, gripping his gnarled staff, My land has become arid, the crops increasingly scarce. I have dedicated my entire life to working in the fields, sweating under the scorching sun and shivering in the rain, but fortune seems to have turned its back, leaving me in misery. Kaito looked at him with eyes full of compassion and understanding. Have you ever looked closely at a mountain stream, Taro? The water flows incessantly, adapting to the terrain it encounters, overcoming seemingly insurmountable obstacles, always finding a way to continue its journey towards the sea. In the same way, continued the monk, turning with a benevolent gaze to all present, life constantly presents us with challenges and difficulties, but it is our ability to adapt, our inner strength, and above all the purity of our heart that allow us to overcome them, to grow through adversity, and to discover true abundance, which is not only material, but also spiritual. He continued, addressing everyone present with a broad gesture, including them in his teaching. December, with its atmosphere of quiet and reflection, is a month of deep introspection, a sacred time to let go of the weight of the past, regrets, and failures, and to welcome with an open heart the new opportunities that the future holds for us. In this time of transition, a simple ritual performed with the right intention and awareness can become a powerful tool to help us purify our energies, release the invisible blocks that prevent us from fully thriving, and open a path to the good fortune and abundance that are just waiting to be welcomed into our lives. Kaido then explained clearly and simply that this ancient purification ritual required just a few easily available items: a glass or ceramic bowl filled with warm, clear water like that from a mountain spring, or salt, a universal symbol of purification and protection against negative energies, and finally, if available, some fresh mint leaves, whose fresh, inebriating scent would amplify the ritual's purifying effect, bringing mental clarity and spiritual renewal. First of all, Kaido advised in a soothing voice, find a quiet, secluded place, a corner of your home where you can feel completely at peace with yourself, away from the noise and distractions of the outside world. Before starting the actual ritual, free your mind from any negative thoughts, worries, or anxieties. Concentrate on your breathing, inhaling the fresh air deeply and exhaling slowly, finding the calm and inner serenity, the silence within you. He then took a handful of coarse salt between his fingers, showing the crystals shining in the morning light. This salt, he said in a solemn tone, is not just a simple seasoning, but a powerful symbol of purity and strength, capable of absorbing like a sponge the negative energies that surround us and that often weigh us down. As you gently hold it in your hands, close your eyes and clearly imagine that this salt absorbs all your worries, your fears, your doubts that prevent you from moving forward. With a slow and precise gesture, Kato poured the salt into the warm water in the bowl, mixing it gently with his fingers in circular motions. As the water soaks in the salt, he explained patiently, visualize with the power of your imagination that it transforms into a purifying fluid, a cascade of clear and regenerating energy, capable of washing away every energetic block, every obstacle that stands between you and the realization of your desires. Then he invited the pilgrims, one by one, to immerse their hands in the salt water and wash them slowly, with deep concentration and devotion. As you do this, she suggested with an encouraging smile, repeat, mentally or quietly, with the utmost conviction, these simple but powerful words: with this water I purify my energy, my spirit, and my mind, and I attract to me experiences of abundance, joy, and serenity. May clarity and serenity illuminate my path and guide my choices. After everyone had finished washing their hands, Kago invited them to take a soft, clean, white linen cloth and dry their hands delicately and carefully, clearly visualizing that, together with the salt water, all the negative energies that had accumulated over time would also be removed, leaving room for new, positive, regenerating energy. Finally, he guided them to throw the remaining water in the bowl in an open place, preferably outside the temple, under a tree or directly on the ground, silently thanking it for its precious service of purification. This symbolic gesture, Cato explained, represented the act of permanently banishing negative influences and opening the way to new opportunities, new experiences, and a fuller and more fulfilling life. This ritual, Cato concluded with a warm, reassuring tone of voice that instilled calm and confidence, is not a magic formula, a spell capable of solving all your problems with a snap of a finger. It is rather a symbolic act, an anchor that ties us to our deep intention for change, a constant reminder of our inner power to transform our reality, to shape our destiny. True magic, true inner transformation, occurs when, after having purified our hands, which are the instruments with which we interact with the world, we act in everyday life with awareness, with compassion towards ourselves and towards others, and with an unshakable determination to pursue our goals, following the right path.